This is the home of Norm Feldser, and there is his famous boating scout barn. And this is the entrance to the scout barn and room. Very well landscaped. Very nice place.
Questions. We're going to try and show two things.
Here we are in Norm Feldser's cave or scout museum. He has a few mugs here. Just a few. But that ain't all. They got some he can't even put on the wall. There's 3 boxes of extra mugs.
What was the first National Jamboree?
This is the table where Norm meets, well, still meets and has met for over 20 years with Eagle Scout prospects. There's Fred Broadrip looking at stuff. And here's the pool up there. That great background to display things. There's Norm Feldser's silver beaver on the right, and on the left is his father's silver beaver, and some other special awards. That one there is the Explorer Eagle Award. Very rare, very valuable too.
I can photocopy.
So he has other stuff here, very interesting sword, and his collection of patches is massive.
And I also have
And
document that shows his rank and all that stuff too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me just tell you the stuff. What we've done with the format of.
on.
Would you please introduce yourself and give today's date?
My name is Feldser. Today's date is Monday the 24th, 2019.
Can you tell me a little bit about your scouting experience starting with your youth program?
Well, I joined the Boy Scouts in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania in September 1952, where I was with the Cub Pack up there, which went all the way through that into the Boy Scout program in 1956, and went all the way through the ranks, and in 1960 I received my Eagle Scout Award. In the interim of all that, then I earned the Explorer Silver Award. I earned the Medal of Honor for life saving. I earned the...
What was the experience there that you were awarded that, Norm?
At that time, I was the senior patrol leader, and we were at a Boy Scout camp called Hidden Valley, which was part of the Keystone Area Council camp. And that time, the senior patrol, when we go for a weekend camping, we were in charge. There was no adults there. We would go camping all the time, as a matter of fact, and we rarely had an adult, and every now and then the scoutmaster would come and check on us to see if we were okay, but then they'd leave us alone for the whole weekend. Anyway, we were at a winter camp up at Hidden Valley, and adventuresome young men. One of the kids that was up there went across this steel bridge that they were in, and he fell off, and he injured his knee very badly, and I had the opportunity, I guess, to administer the first aid of all the teachings that we've had, where needed sutures that I could see from the very beginning, and I had a pack of steri strips, and I was able to steri strip it and bandage it. The other kids would come along, and then we made a stretcher to haul him out because he couldn't walk, and we'd taken him probably about a good mile from where he was up to where the cabin where we were staying, and one of the kids went to the ranger station and made a phone call, and his father was a dentist, and he came and got him and took him to the hospital, and he got sutured up. And they wrote me up for the honor for life saving. You know.
That's quite
So that was that. I also earned the Naritomet Award, which is a boy religious award for Judaism. And I don't know what all else I had earned. I earned a bunch of different awards throughout my entire scouting career. I don't even have all these knots that I have here, or not all of the knots that I have. I'm over 30 knots that I could wear, but I don't. Now I found out I'm only allowed to wear 9, and I got them sewed on. They ain't coming off. But yeah, I had quite a interesting scouting career in Harrisburg before I moved down here to Thurmont. And I started working here in Thurmont in 1969 at the dress company. And in 1972, I moved down here in August, and I made it from August to October not being involved in scouts. And they came knocking on my door, and I took over the scout troop here in Thurmont, Troop 270. The original scoutmaster at the time, Bill Green, whose son is the newspaper photographer, Bill Green. His wife was very ill and subsequently passed away, and he retired as a scoutmaster. So I took over officially in '73 and ran the scoutmastership of Troop 270 from 70 to 1994, and then I became the troop treasurer after that, and I still am the troop treasurer at the same troop here in Thurmont. In the interim of all that, we started back in the 70s. There was only 4 of us that were wood badge trained, and we started a training program for junior leader training. And we got into a controversy because the adults were having a problem because the kids were coming back knowing more about hunting skills than they were being taught. So we ended up incorporating another patrol for adults only that wanted to do it, and then it got to the point where we were getting more adults and getting more staff and more people going through wood badge to do all of that. And so we did a lot of training. We did our own awards that we made at the time. We made bolos. I hand braided bolos for the original 13 staffers. We die cast Dick Comstock die casted the class emblem on a bolo, and I have them if you want to photograph them. At the same time, in 1975, I took over, and I didn't really intend to take over, but Charlie was doing a lot of the catering and stuff, and we went to Catoctin Park for the OA ordeal for the first time in 1975, and I knew Charlie because I was already fast tracked to go to Philmont with him in '76. So he asked me to do the cooking with him up at Catoctin Park, and we were at the Round Meadow Kitchen, and there was about 65 people there. Anyway, he had all the stuff. I didn't have to worry with that, and we did barbecued chicken on the outside, and he told me in the middle of the afternoon, I gotta go over to Camp Airy. I'll be back. Well, he didn't make it back, so I learned how to do the whole thing on a whim, and put the whole thing together, and so now, as of this past year, I finished 44 years in a row of cooking for the OA. Maybe I'll get to 50, I don't know. Don't know. But I still do all the cooking and everything with the Arrow. So.
Now, you have a long history of being head of the Eagle Border Review in the district. When did that go back till?
that started in 1978 when in 1977 the person that was running the Eagle set an appointment up for one of my boys in my troop, and he did honor his commitment, I'll word it that way, and I got upset by all that, and I went to the district committee and more or less had him fired and had Les Holmes become the Eagle chairman, and I would go sit on his board with him. So a couple years later, Les Holmes passed away. Guess who got the head of that, the board? Well, when I got ahead of the board, your brother Bob came in. He was with me till he passed. He was with me a good 5 years, so I enjoyed a very good time with your brother. So from then to the current, and this Wednesday night, we will have, it'll be my 1300th Eagle Scout that has been through my board.
Number 1300 on the button this Wednesday.
This Wednesday, first kids. It's going to be AJ Child, Colby Child's son. It's going to be number 1300. Yeah, so it's kind of cute about that. So we'll see how that fares out, how long I stay with that. My wife tells me I ought to put enough time, you ought to retire. I said, no, I'm not going to retire because I'm still having too much fun with the kids. Another thing I started way back in 1981, the Tiger Cup program. I started that with a lady by the name of Valerie Robinson, who subsequently worked here at the council office and became a big shot out in Ohio somewhere with the Boy Scouts. But we started the whole Tiger Cup program here in this district in '81.
And that's the program that's going, it's national now?
Oh, it's all national now. It's been national. It's been national. But we were the ones that introduced the whole thing right here in Frederick County. Yeah, kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else have I done? I started going to national jamborees. I started in 1957. Went 15 in a row on average every 4 years. So I got to the last one. I figured 15 was enough. I paid my dues, and I amassed a huge collection of patches. You'll see when they pan around in the room, and a lot of it you won't see because of the volumes that are over that blue case. There's close to 4,000 to 5,000 different OA flags over there. And then there's jumpers, boxes and bags all over the place. I've been giving them away to kids. I had a group of kids here that, a couple weeks ago that were going to the OA conclave, so I'm dishing them out patches. Go boys, fun, trade. So got 2 of them hook, line, and their parents are not happy with me. Cost them no money. So I still have fun. I've been on the wood badge training course. I did the quartermaster 4 times in a row as a staff member. Yeah, did that 4 times. That was enough of that. That's very tiring.
As you're going back to your youth scouting program, what can you say you took away from that as far as leadership skills or determination, or how would you describe what you got from the youth program of scouting when you were?
I think from the youth program I got a lot of being self-reliant, dependability. We went out on our own, like I said earlier, and we had to make decisions on our own. And we were youth, we were, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. And we're out camping, we have to make decisions. And if you're a patrol leader or a senior patrol leader and you set up your own programs for that particular weekend, whether you're working on second class requirements or first class requirements, we were always working, always doing something. And of course we still had to play capture the flag and things like that we could run around and carry on, hike. Yeah, a good time. Yeah. But I think self-reliance, taught us a tremendous amount of how to deal with yourself, how to deal with others, how to be a leader. Because when you get into the adult world, if you're in the type of business that you're going to be leading people, telling people what to do, that's a good starting point as being a youth and have to deal with it that way as opposed to having to learn on the job. At least I think so.
When you transitioned into the adult scouting program, do you feel that you still continue to learn lessons as a result of the adult scouting program and your experience? Or could you share any thoughts on that line?
Well, you always learn something. I learned human nature more than anything else because dealing with the youth, each one is different. And I not only had hundreds and hundreds or thousands of scout troop here in Thurmont, but look at what I've done with all the Eagle Scouts that I've interviewed, mentored, and got to the point of the 1,300 making it to Eagle. And believe me, there's some that didn't make it to Eagle that I wish they would have, but they procrastinated. That's one of my favorite words. They procrastinated and they ran out of time. The 18th birthday put a lot of kids that in my master book DNF did not finish. So yeah, always learning. If you don't learn something new all the time, it gets boring.
You know, you mentioned that you were still having fun in scouting, and I think that's something that maybe could be emphasized more with adults and bringing adults back in who were scouts in their youth, is that just because you turn 21 or 18 doesn't mean you have to stop having fun.
Well, that's true. That's true. But the adult at that age has to make a decision. Do they want to have fun in scouts, or do they want to have fun in college? Do they want to have fun in graduate school? Do they find a young lady, settle down, get married, and have fun, and start raising a family and go through the trials and tribulations of that? So, yeah, you can argue it all different ways, but each individual has to make that determination for themselves. What's fun for me is not fun for you.
Well, why did you stay in scouting and come back in? I mean, I know the example that your scoutmaster had retired, but what brought you back in? Why did you stay these decades in scouting as an adult?
I really don't know. I had fun with the kids. The different young men that came into the program, whether made it to Eagle, our troop never had an Eagle Scout until I came here. And I had boys that were getting off the bus from Philmont in 1970, I want to say 74. And one of those four, who all four of them were Life Scout. And I had a sit-down meeting with them. I said, boys, we never had an Eagle in this troop. One of you four is going to get Eagle, one way or another. And one of them did. And he's still around to this day. He's not involved in scouting. Both his boys got their Eagle Scout award. I still see him at Home Depot where I fool around part-time. They're in there all the time. It's like a long-lost child of mine. And the other thing is the Eagle Scouts that I've had over the 10, 20, 30, 40 years, some of them will come back into Home Depot and they'll walk up and they say, are you the Mr. Feldser that did the Eagle? I says, yeah. You remember me? And I look at him, no, I don't remember you. You're probably 250 pounds, full beard, and I don't remember you. And they tell me their name, and most of the time I do remember the name. So it's kind of neat. The other story with that would be one of the ladies that works at Home Depot. She came to me and she said, my son got his Eagle Scout through you. He's a kid from Brunswick. I said, what was his name? And she told me. I said, wow, I don't remember that name. And she said, well, he didn't go by that name. He had a nickname. I said, what was his nickname? And she said it was Bubba. And Bubba, I remember. Bubba, I remember. That was huge. I said, I remember Bubba, and I could rattle off his scoutmaster and the group that he ran around with, and she was amazed that I even remembered that. So when she brought him to the next year's Christmas party, and he and I had a long talk. Yeah, he's still a Bubba.
He's still a Bubba?
Yeah, he's still a Bubba.
How do you wish to be remembered as a Frederick County scout and scouter?
That's a tough question. That's a tough question. I hope that all the kids that I've encountered, whether they made it to Eagle or not, and I had some. I had one kid in my troop for 7 years. It was a tenderfoot, and he could have been an Eagle. He was a smart young man. He had a full scholarship to Mount St. Mary, but he chose to be a tenderfoot because he to be the tenderfoot. I just hope that these kids, something that I gave them, something I talked to them, or something, words of wisdom that I gave them, made them think about what scouting and what scouting had to offer, and maybe that could be my legacy. I don't know. I don't plan it, Fred. I don't plan it.
Norm, thank you for what you have done for scouting, and our interview is concluded.
Are we in time?
It's on.
Would you please introduce yourself and give today's date?
My name is Norman Feldser. Today's date is Monday, the 24th of June, 2019.
And the purpose of this interview is, to our knowledge so far, there are only 2 family sets in Francis Scott District where the dad has gotten the silver beaver and the son has gotten the silver beaver. And you're in one of those 2 sets, and we would like to just explore that relationship, that scouting history that is common to both your dad and to you as a scout and a scouter. So let's start with your dad's scouting history. Is there anything that you can recall, would like to share about your dad's youth scouting experience?
I know that my dad received his Eagle Scout Award, and I found after he passed the whole stack of his original merit badge cards. And one of the unique things about that was that he earned all the badges of the citizenships and first aids and camping and things like that. But lo and behold, that stack was a special merit badge that they gave him. Why and how, I don't know. But it was written for necking and loving. And it was on those official merit badge cards back in the late 20s, early 30s. And I did not have the opportunity to confront him about how he got it. What I was able to do with that badge, we had a young man that later on that I presented his Eagle to, who earned all the merit badges at the time. His name's Cody Evans. And we had a court of honor for him at the Elk Club in Frederick. And when they made the announcement that he earned all the merit badges, I spoke up. I said, he did not earn all the merit badges. He's going to have one presented to him tonight. Well, his mom and dad and Cody were sitting there with their mouth hanging wide open because they had no idea what the train that was on the track. So I got up and told the story about my dad receiving the merit badge of necking and loving, and I put together a current merit badge card with an old personal fitness merit badge of the heart, and presented Cody a necking and loving merit badge in the present day. Well, Cody was rather embarrassed, and his mom was just flabbergasted, and it was just a neat experience that I was able to relay what went on 60 years prior to all that.
That's a great story.
My dad also earned the Silver Beaver. like you said, and he earned that back in the late 30s. He was the scoutmaster of the troop up in Harrisburg, and at the time before that, when he got his eagle was presented to him by the Rabbi Bookstaber at the troop meeting. And lo and behold, some 30, 40 years later, the same rabbi presented me with my eagle badge, which you see here in front of me, and Dad pinned his eagle badge on my eagle badge, which is kind of cute. And that thing has been on there for a long time, since 1960. I'd never take it off. So maybe one day one of my boys that are both Eagle Scouts themselves will get all this stuff. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but my wife says you got to do something with it. That's one of the reasons why we're going to the Heritage House in Walkersville to put a lot of this memorabilia down there. It's going to be readily available for anybody that comes in and does any scout meetings or reviews or project approvals and things like that. So,
Where and when did your dad receive his silver beaver?
he got his silver beaver in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania at the Keystone Area Council. And exactly when, what's the date on that?
1949.
1949. I knew it was the end of the war. Yeah. And after that, he more or less dropped out of being the scoutmaster. And another gentleman came in by the name of Dick Simon, and he was my scoutmaster at the time. But the thing that Dad did, he went on the council level, and he formulated, along with several other gentlemen, a group called the Melting Pot Patrol. And they worked in tandem for well over 30 years as a patrol of silver beavers, and the criteria was they had to be from each religious faction within the council, so there was no quantity of how many could be in this patrol because of the different religious end. The main criteria is 2 from every religious faction. And what the whole purpose of them was that they were mostly influential people. And they would go out and raise money, raise supplies, raise equipment, have companies come in, and they literally built the Boy Scout camp Hidden Valley from the ground up. And then the camp had grown to the point where it is today. They have a new bridge in there, they have a new entrance. The old original entrance looked like Fort Apache. It had the stockade wall, and they built it all by hand. They literally built it by hand.
Was that the council camp for
Yes.
that? And
Yes.
And it still is today?
It still is. The Keystone Area Council and the York Adams Council have now merged as one council. It's called the New Freedom Council. And they still run 2 offices, one in York, one in Mechanicsburg. The original Boy Scout office was downtown Harrisburg, next to the Harrisburg Hospital. And that operated for years and years, so they outgrew it, and they built a new facility over in Mechanicsburg on, I think it's 114 outside of between 15 and 81 on that road.
So your father transitioned from local level in scouting to council.
Right.
How long do you have any idea how long he served on council?
It
And
was over close to 30 years
on
probably.
the council?
Yeah, because when he got his silver beaver, and he had to have that council award in '49, and they were, I have a book here somewhere where they had their silver anniversary. They had a book of the Melting Pot Patrol of 25 years, and it had listed all the names that have been in that, and I'm in contact with a gentleman in Harrisburg to this day that they're trying to replicate all those names, and I was able to give them quite a,
I bet you were.
yeah.
Anything else you would want to add about your dad's career in scouting as a youth or as an adult?
Not really. I mean, he was very heavily involved with this. He was a scoutmaster, of course, and it was also spent more time on the council level. He was one who knew people, knew companies. He knew individuals that were his scouts at the time, and now we're running businesses within the Harrisburg area. And so these men on this Nutting Papa were very influential, and they would go around to all these different organizations, and they even were able to get it's not there anymore, New Cumberland Army Depot, where they had the Seabees come in, and they actually paved roads and put bridges in, and oh man, they did a lot of work.
You know, that reminds me of a story that, as I remember it, with Goshen, when that was being set up with General Hershey being influential in scouts, and he was able to bring, I think, a lot of those military in to
Sure.
get some of that construction done.
Oh yeah, but they
Which
had
was
the equipment
great.
to
Yeah,
do it, and
it's a
it
great
made
way to
sense
do
to
it.
have it done.
Absolutely.
And it gave the military the training, and all of us reaped the benefits
Absolutely.
of that. Yeah.
Well, also in front of you are two gold cards.
Those are kind of unique. My dad had 50 years in scouting in 1975, and I also had 50 years in the Boy Scout program. And you get 50 years, the national office gives the recipient a gold membership card, and go from there. And you asked me earlier, maybe I'll get to 75. I don't know.
Do they have a 75?
Yeah, they do.
They stop after that, I hope.
I hope. But I don't know.
Did your dad, with his scouting experience as a youth and in adulthood, have any influence on you going into the youth program, staying in as an adult?
Well, the only thing I can think of is that before I even joined Cub Scouts, Dad would take me when we go up to Hidden Valley to do work. I was a little kid, and I was a gopher, but I was involved in scouting at the time. In theory, I was born into the program, basically. I did do things up at the scout camp, and I met a lot of the adults that were on the hierarchy of the council at the time.
This Hidden Valley?
It was Hidden Valley, yeah, that was a big deal back then, that camp, and it was, and the adult leaders at the time were very influential, and they got things done. Another cute part of this, to digress a little bit, the council executive was his name was Charles Steele, and he also was a assistant council exec with Joe Davis back in the 40s at NCAC when they were down. So when they got done doing their internships per se, Joe ended up at Philmont, and Charlie ended up at Harrisburg as the council exec there. So one time my dad had me down at the council office, and he told Charlie that I was going to go to my first national jamboree in 1957. And Charlie said, "You trade patches?" I said, "No, I don't even know what they are." "You come with me, young man." And he took me back to his office, opened up this huge trunk, and it was full of patches, and gave me a fistful of them things. "Here, go have fun." About 30, 40 years later, I got to talking with Joe Davis and found out his scouting history. And we got to conversing, and found out that I knew Charlie Steele, that those two were cohorts, or whatever you want to call them. And we ended up making a road trip up to Camp Hill. Charlie had retired, his health was failing, and Joe Davis and I went up there, and we visited with Charlie and his son. I guess we were there 3-4 hours, just talking about old time stuff. And when we got in the vehicle to come home, and Joe comes to me, he says, "I can't thank you enough for getting this together and taking me up here. It's been a long time since we had a chance to talk. And one of the things that Charlie was able to do, he gave me another patch that I didn't have, and it's a really rare patch that our council had its first encampment, black encampment, back in 1943 on the Washington Monument grounds, and they issued a patch. I'll let you take a picture of it later. That was handed out to all these young men and adults that were part of this encampment, and I don't think our council has ever done it before. And what makes it unique is that all the other patch collectors in our council have photographs because they've come to take photographs of that patch. I've never seen another one since.
So here you are now, what, 4,000 or 5,000 patches later, and this gentleman in Harrisburg got going with.
He got me started on it. Yeah, there's 5,000. That's just what's in. There's book after book. I have a complete history of all the Francis Scott Key patches here from 1938 to the present time. Back then it was council. Then it went into field days because the districts weren't allowed to have, and then it changed over where the districts were allowed to have their own patch, and then I got it through when we had the split in 2003, and I have AT, and I have Catoctin Mountain, and then we're back together as FSK, and it's all back together. So that's going down to the Heritage House. There's a collection of every OA flap that I have that our council ever put out. I have the original ones of them that are worth quite a few dollars when you look at it that way, but just part of our legacy. We have a complete collection of the Camp Airy patches here. I have a complete collection of all Eagle Scout patches from the beginning to the end. Behind me is a complete collection of all the National Jamboree patches. All the stuff's going down to the Heritage House. My kids don't want it. My wife doesn't want it.
Yeah.
That's where we got all that wall space down there to put all this. So Mr. Lehman's excited.
You should be.
Yeah, but Dad, he was in the background for me most of the time. He was in the background for me. If I needed something, he was always there to make sure I would get it. Like I said, my first jamboree was in '57. Dad paid for that. Probably make people sick that it cost him a whole $90 to send me to 3 weeks to Valley Forge for the jamboree. Now it's thousands upon thousands plus transportation costs. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been to 15 national jamborees.
Quite a record.
I just did it because I had fun.
There you go.
The most of it was 8 or 9 on national staff for the scuba diving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll talk about your career in the sections too. Talk about your career as a youth in scouting and any memorable moments and what you got out of your youth scouting experience.
Like I said, I officially started in September of 1952 to the present day, and went all through Cub Scouts, got the Arab Light, went into Boy Scouts, got the Eagle Award, Explorer Silver Award, the Nair Thomas Religious Award, the Heroism Award, the Silver Award for the Exploring. Just as a youth, I got all that. But the big thing was not getting all that. The hardest thing was first class, getting past Morse code.
Yeah.
I remember the day that I did my test for Morse code was upstairs in one of the classrooms. I got done with Dr. Grossman, and he signed me off for that. Man, I flew down the steps screaming.
That held up a lot of youth back.
That did.
Morse code, first
That
class.
held up a lot.
Yeah.
And the fact that it wasn't until when I got it back in the 50s, a lot of people don't realize an adult could get Eagle up until about 1965, 67 and not have to do all that stuff. All he had to do was earn merit badges, and then the Boy Scouts changed requirements that you have to be a first class before you can earn merit badges. And that cut all adults earning Eagle. So that was an interesting point. I think I shook a lot of eyeballs at the Eagle dinner when I talked about that too.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Talk about your career as an adult in scouting and
I had,
what you've gotten out of it, what you've been able to give back.
what I've gotten out of it is I've had a lot of fun. I had a lot of personal experiences with these young men as a scoutmaster for 24 years, as a committee treasurer for another 20 couple some years, as the '08 cook crew for 44 years, running the Eagle board for the last 41 years. I've met a lot of kids. I hope they got something from me. I hope they got something from me. I got a letter from a young man, I guess about 4 or 5 years ago. He was one of my Eagle Scouts. He got into the newspaper broadcasting arena. He became the sports editor out in California. Then he moved to Kentucky, where he's the head of the whole sports department for some big news agency down there. And now he's on the national level as far as sportscasters and writers. And he wrote me a letter and thanking me for getting him started in his youth, to give him the ambition, the leadership, the drive to want to succeed. And he certainly has succeeded. And I still see him on Facebook, so that's kind of cute. I have to sit back and laugh and enjoy it.
That's just an invaluable reward to get feedback like that from a youth you work
And he's
with.
not the only one. I have kids that are now back in my troop that are assistant scoutmasters and things like that, so you just leave him alone. Leave him alone.
All right. Where and, now we've talked about the Eagle badges in front of you, medals and the gold cards, and closest to you are the two silver beavers, I guess yours and your dad's.
Yeah, this is mine, that's my dad's. They're both kind of unique in the respect that they're not the same design. Dad's is a lot older, a little bit heavier, but compared to today's silver beaver, these things are real silver. The new ones today are what I call pot metal. And but Dad got his in '49, I got mine in '79, so 30 years later, I got the same award that my father got, and it was quite unique. Back then, they didn't tell us who was getting it, so no families were there, and it was just a surprise that when you were awarded that in front of your peers at the district dinner.
And this came through this came through Francis Scott Key District.
Mine came through Francis Scott
Right.
Key. My dad's came through the Keystone Area Council up in Harrisburg.
Very good,
Yes.
sir. Do you still have any goals, anything on your bucket list with scouting that you still want to check off?
Not
Or
really.
has it all been checked off by now?
I have received countless awards. I've received, received all kinds of stuff over the years. And there's nothing really I need, nothing really I want. Nothing else. I think I received everything.
Well, thank you and your father for what you have done for scouting. And this interview is concluded.
Okay.
Very good.
You happy?
I think they're both good.
Okay.
I think